3 weeks earlier, the mining colony of Ash Point barely registered on anyone's map. Tucked away on a barren asteroid in the Terminus Belt, it was home to 2,000 humans who extracted rare minerals for their Dominion overseers. Marcus Webb swung his pickaxe into the rock face, his muscles aching after 12 hours of continuous work. Sweat stung his eyes despite the environmental suit's cooling systems. Around him, dozens of other humans worked in silence, watched by tall insectoid Dominion guards carrying plasma rifles. 5 more minutes until shift change. His friend Devon muttered beside him. Thank God. Marcus nodded but didn't respond. Talking during work hours meant punishment. Last week, a woman named Maria had been caught whispering to her daughter. The guards had made everyone watch as they beat her unconscious. That was the Dominion way. Break the spirit, control through fear, and ensure humans never forgot their place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. But something was different today. Marcus had noticed it in small ways. The guards seemed nervous, checking their communication devices more frequently than usual. Their formation was tighter, more defensive, and twice he'd heard them speaking in hushed tones about the attacks. When the shift horn finally blared, Marcus and Devon shuffled toward the decontamination chambers. The guards corralled them like animals, shouting orders in broken English mixed with their chittering native language. Move faster, meat creatures. Your betters have no patience for your laziness. Marcus kept his head down, but his jaw clenched. Meat creatures. That's what they called humans. Not people, not citizens, just meat. In the cramped barracks that housed the workers, Marcus found his wife Elena waiting with their son Tommy. The 6-year-old ran to him, and Marcus scooped him up despite his exhaustion. Daddy, I learned new words today, Tommy chirped. The teacher said I'm getting really good at math. That's wonderful, buddy, Marcus said, forcing a smile. The teacher was actually old Professor Yates, who held secret lessons for the children using contraband data tablets. If the Dominion found out, they'd all be executed. Elena kissed Marcus's cheek, then whispered, We need to talk. Something's happening. After putting Tommy to bed, they huddled in the corner of their small quarters. Elena pulled out a battered tablet hidden beneath the floorboards. Chen made contact, she said quietly. The signal came through 2 hours ago. Marcus's heart rate spiked. Sarah Chen, the Ashmaker, the legend who'd been hitting Dominion targets across the sector. Most people thought she was just propaganda, a story to give humans hope. What did she say? She's coming here. To Ash Point. Elena's hands trembled slightly. Marcus, she's going to free us. But we have to be ready to fight. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Fight. Marcus looked at his calloused hands, thought about his son sleeping nearby, considered his wife's frightened eyes. I'm not a soldier, he whispered. I'm a miner. I don't know how to— None of us do, Elena interrupted. But we can't keep living like this. Every day they work us harder. The rations keep shrinking. Last month, 3 people died from preventable diseases because the Dominion wouldn't waste medicine on humans. How long until that's Tommy? How long until it's us? Marcus closed his eyes. She was right. He knew she was right. But knowing and accepting were different things. What does Chen need from us? Elena pulled up a map on the tablet. When she attacks, we sabotage the power grid here, here, and here. That'll disable the shields around the command center. Her team does the rest. When? Tomorrow night. Marcus's stomach dropped. That's less than 30 hours, I know. But Marcus, this is real. This is our chance. The Dominion thinks we're broken. They think we'll stay slaves forever. We have to prove them wrong. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stared at the metal ceiling of their quarters, listening to Tommy's soft breathing and Elena's restless movements. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either they'd be free or they'd all be dead. He thought about New Terra, the colony world the Dominion had destroyed to force humanity's surrender. 5 million dead in an instant. His sister had lived there. His parents. Gone before humanity even knew they were at war. The Dominion had taken everything and expected gratitude in return. They'd treated humans like livestock, like something less than alive. Maybe it's time they learned we're not prey, Marcus thought. Maybe it's time they learned we bite back. The next evening, Marcus reported to his assigned sector as usual. But hidden beneath his work suit was a cutting torch Elena had stolen from the maintenance bay. Around him, 30 other humans carried similar contraband. They were the sabotage team, ordinary people about to do extraordinary things. The Dominion guards noticed nothing wrong. Why would they? Humans were docile, broken, harmless. At exactly 2100 hours, the lights flickered. Then every alarm in the facility started screaming. "What's happening?" a guard shouted, his translator struggling to keep up with his panicked chittering. Marcus didn't wait. He sprinted toward the power junction, torch blazing to life. 2 other humans ran with him. Devon and a woman named Keisha, who'd lost her husband in the mines last year. "Cut the main conduits," Marcus yelled, pressing his torch against the reinforced cables. Sparks flew like stars being born. Plasma fire erupted behind them. The guards had realized what was happening. Marcus heard screaming, both human and alien, as the colony descended into chaos. But he kept cutting, had to keep cutting. This was their only chance. The conduit split with a shower of electricity. The lights died completely, plunging the sector into emergency lighting. The shields were down. "Now, Chen," Marcus prayed. "Please let this work." As if in answer, an explosion tore through the command center above them. Then another. And another. Through the viewport, Marcus saw them. 3 sleek human ships, black as the void, absolutely bristling with weapons. They moved with predatory grace, dancing around the Dominion defense turrets like sharks circling wounded prey. "Impossible," one of the guards whispered in Standard Galactic. "Human ships can't match our technology." It's impossible, but it wasn't impossible. Because these ships weren't built with permission. They were built in secret, in hidden shipyards using stolen Dominion technology improved by human ingenuity. The lead ship opened fire, and Marcus watched in awe as precision strikes destroyed every defense platform without touching the mining facility. The Dominion ships were powerful but designed for overwhelming force against inferior enemies. These human ships were designed by people who'd spent 20 years studying their enemies' weaknesses. And it showed. "All Dominion forces, this is Admiral Sarah Chen," a woman's voice crackled over every communication channel. "You have 60 seconds to evacuate this facility before I turn it to slag. This colony is under Terran protection now. Any act of aggression will be met with overwhelming force. Your time starts now." The Dominion guards looked at each other in panic. Some raised their weapons. Others ran for the docking bay. Marcus grabbed Devon and Keisha. "Get everyone to the eastern shelter. Move." The colony exploded into motion. Humans who'd shuffled like broken machines suddenly ran like their lives depended on it. Because they did. A guard blocked their path, plasma rifle raised. "You will remain. You are Dominion property." Marcus didn't think. He just reacted. The cutting torch was still in his hand. He swung it in a wild arc. The guard screeched and stumbled back, clutching at its burned face. Marcus stared at his hand, shocked at what he'd done. "Marcus, come on." Elena appeared beside him, dragging Tommy. "We have to go." They ran. Behind them, the Dominion command center exploded in brilliant white light. Chen hadn't been bluffing. The evacuation took 40 minutes. By the time the last human reached safety, the Dominion forces had withdrawn completely. The colony was free but scarred. Fires burned in 3 sectors. 17 humans had died in the fighting. But 2,000 were alive, and for the first time in 20 years, truly free. Marcus stood in the docking bay as Chen's ship descended. The woman who emerged didn't match the legends. She was shorter than he'd imagined. Her face half covered in burn scars. Her gray hair pulled back in a severe bun. She walked with a slight limp, but her eyes, God, her eyes burned with an intensity that made Marcus want to look away. "You did well," Chen said, addressing the assembled humans. "The Dominion thought you were broken. But you proved tonight that humanity doesn't break. We bend, we endure, and when the moment comes, we strike back." She gestured to her officers, who began distributing weapons and supplies. "This colony is now a free settlement. You have a choice. Stay here and rebuild, and I'll leave a defensive platform to protect you. Or join me, join the rebellion. Help me burn every slave colony, every Dominion stronghold, every symbol of their oppression until they understand one simple truth." Chen's voice rose, filling the docking bay. "Humanity will never kneel again." The roar that erupted from 2,000 throats was deafening. Marcus found himself shouting along with everyone else, years of suppressed rage finally finding voice. Elena gripped his arm. "Marcus, what do we do?" He looked at his wife, then at Tommy sleeping in her arms, then at the stars visible through the bay doors. Out there, millions of humans still lived in chains. Children who would grow up like Tommy, knowing nothing but servitude, unless someone stopped it. We fight, Marcus said. We teach our son that his parents weren't cowards, that when they had a choice, they chose to make the galaxy better. Elena nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. Then we fight. That night, 500 colonists volunteered for the rebellion. Marcus Webb, who'd spent 20 years swinging a pickaxe, became a saboteur. Elena, who'd been a teacher before the invasion, became an intelligence operative. And Tommy, who was too young to understand, went to a hidden sanctuary where human children could grow up free. The Dominion had made a critical mistake. They'd treated humans like animals. They'd thought fear alone could control them, but fear cuts both ways. And now it was the Empire's turn to be afraid. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Reckoning, studying the holographic display with calculating eyes. Her second-in-command, Commander James Park, approached with a data tablet. Latest intelligence from the Dominion capital, he said. They're panicking. The Council has called an emergency session. They're pulling fleets back from their frontier territories to protect core worlds. Good, Chen said softly. Fear makes people stupid. The more they consolidate, the more territories they leave vulnerable. She zoomed in on a cluster of systems near Dominion space. What about Arcturus Station? Park's expression darkened. Still operational. 10,000 human prisoners, all scientists and engineers they captured during the invasion. The Dominion is forcing them to develop new weapons. Including the planet killer they threatened Earth with? Intel suggests yes. If they complete it, they can hold Earth hostage indefinitely. We'd have to surrender or watch our homeworld die. Chen's jaw tightened. 20 years ago, when the Dominion had invaded, humanity had fought back with everything they had. And lost. Spectacularly. The Dominion's technology was centuries ahead, their ships faster and more powerful, their weapons devastating. So humanity had surrendered. Accepted enslavement, watched as their people were scattered across 100 worlds to work and die for alien masters. But Sarah Chen had never accepted it. While serving as a Dominion labor slave on New Terra, she'd secretly organized resistance cells. She'd stolen technology. She'd recruited allies. And when the Dominion destroyed New Terra to punish a minor uprising, killing everyone she'd ever loved, she'd stopped trying to free humanity peacefully. Now she was going to burn the Empire down. One world at a time. Prepare the fleet, she said. We're hitting Arcturus in 72 hours. Park's eyes widened. Admiral, that's a core world. They'll have a full battle group defending it. We'd be outnumbered 20-1. I know. Then how? Because they won't expect us to be that crazy. Chen smiled grimly. The Dominion thinks we're desperate guerrillas hitting soft targets. They don't know we've been preparing for this exact scenario for 5 years. She pulled up classified schematics. 3 months ago, one of our operatives infiltrated the Arcturus shipyards. She planted demolition charges in every ship under construction. When we attack, those ships won't be reinforcements, they'll be bombs. Park studied the plan, slowly nodding. It's insane. It's war. And we're not playing by their rules anymore. 60 hours later, Marcus Webb crouched in an access tunnel beneath Arcturus Station, his heart hammering against his ribs. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was supposed to be training at the rebellion's hidden base. But when he'd learned the assault included rescuing his cousin Rachel, one of the scientists imprisoned here, he'd volunteered. Chen had reluctantly agreed, probably because Marcus had proven useful in the Ashpoint liberation. Now, surrounded by 5 other rebellion operatives in the darkness, he wondered if he'd made a catastrophic mistake. Sound off, whispered Keisha, who'd become the team leader. On Ashpoint, she'd been a grieving widow. Now she was a soldier. Webb, ready. Tanaka, ready. Rodriguez, ready. Lee, ready. Jackson, ready. Good. Keisha checked her chronometer. The Admiral begins her attack in 10 minutes. When the shooting starts, we blow this hatch and get to the detention level. We have exactly 15 minutes to locate our people and get them to the extraction point before Chen pulls out. What happens if we're late? Rodriguez asked nervously. Then we die here, Keisha said bluntly. Chen won't risk the entire fleet to wait for 6 people. Understood? Everyone nodded. Marcus felt sick but focused on his breathing, in and out. Stay calm. Above them, Arcturus Station bustled with activity. 50,000 Dominion personnel worked here. Soldiers, administrators, technicians, and 10,000 human prisoners who'd been turned into research slaves. The Dominion had stripped these scientists of everything: their dignity, their freedom, their hope. They worked 20-hour days developing weapons that would be used to further subjugate humanity. Not anymore, Marcus thought. Not after today. His communication implant crackled to life. Chen's voice broadcast on all rebellion channels. All teams, this is reckoning. Beginning assault in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. The entire station shuddered. Alarms began shrieking. Through the tunnel walls, Marcus heard muffled explosions. Go, 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 Keisha yelled. Jackson slapped a breaching charge on the hatch above them. The explosion was deafening in the confined space. Marcus's ears rang as they scrambled upward into a maintenance corridor. 2 Dominion guards rounded the corner, plasma rifles raised. Tanaka, the fastest among them, fired first. Her illegal kinetic weapon, built from smuggled materials and desperation, punched through the first guard's chitinous armor. Lee took down the second. Marcus tried not to look at the bodies as they ran past. They navigated by stolen maps, racing through corridors while the station tore itself apart around them. Through viewports, Marcus glimpsed an incredible sight. The Rebellion fleet, 20 ships strong, dancing through Dominion fire like demons. And in the shipyard, just as Chen had promised, the partially built Dominion vessels began exploding from within. Each detonation sent shrapnel tearing through nearby ships, turning the Empire's own reinforcements into deadly shrapnel. Detention level, ahead, Keisha shouted. They burst through the doors into chaos. The Dominion guards here had abandoned their posts, fleeing to reach escape pods. The prison cells stood open but empty. Where are they? Rodriguez demanded. Where are the prisoners? Marcus's implant crackled. Webb, this is your cousin. We received an early warning. We've barricaded ourselves in Research Lab 7. But we're trapped. The Dominion locked down the entire wing before evacuating. Relief and terror flooded through Marcus in equal measure. Rachel, are you hurt? Negative. But we can't get out. The blast doors are reinforced titanium and we don't have tools. If Chen pulls out, we'll be left behind when the Dominion retakes the station. Marcus looked at Keisha desperately. We can get them. Lab 7 is only 2 sections away. That's not the extraction point, Keisha said, but Marcus could see her resolve wavering. We have orders. Orders don't mean anything if we leave our people to die. Marcus surprised himself with his vehemence. We came here to save them. Let's actually do it. For a heartbeat, Keisha just stared at him. Then she nodded sharply. Double time. We get them out or we all die trying. They ran. Lab 7 was exactly where Rachel said, but the titanium blast doors were indeed sealed tight. Through the small window, Marcus could see faces pressed against the glass. Scientists, engineers, mathematicians, the brightest minds humanity had to offer, all trapped like rats. We need a plasma cutter, Tanaka said, examining the door. This lock mechanism is too complex for explosives. There. Lee pointed to a nearby storage locker marked with Dominion technical symbols. Inside, they found maintenance equipment, including a heavy plasma cutter designed for ship repairs. Marcus grabbed it, his hands shaking. He'd used similar tools in the mines, but never under combat conditions. Never while the station exploded around him and a countdown ticked in his head. He activated the cutter. The plasma stream bit into the door with a shower of sparks. Faster, Keisha urged, watching her chronometer. We have 3 minutes before extraction. Marcus pushed the cutter harder, but the door was thick. Sweat poured down his face. Behind the window, Rachel and the other prisoners watched with desperate hope. 2 minutes, the cut was only halfway through. 1 minute. Almost there. Almost, the plasma cutter died. No, no, no. Marcus shook it desperately, but the power cell was drained. I need another 30 seconds. We don't have it, Keisha said softly. Marcus, we need to go. I'm not leaving her. Webb. Rachel's voice came through his implant, thick with tears. Go, please, tell my daughter I love her. Tell her I died doing something that mattered. No. Marcus's voice broke. No, I won't. An explosion rocked the corridor. They all staggered, and Marcus watched in horror as the ceiling began to collapse. Then the blast door simply fell apart. Not from the cut. Not from structural damage. It fell apart because someone had used a molecular disruptor to destabilize its atomic bonds. Admiral Chen stepped through the destroyed doorway, the disruptor smoking in her hands. Her scarred face was streaked with ash and blood. Move, she barked. All of you now. The Dominion is regrouping faster than anticipated. Marcus didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed Rachel and they all ran. The escape was a blur of gunfire, explosions, and desperate sprinting. Chen's personal strike team covered their retreat. Professional soldiers who moved with lethal efficiency. Marcus saw 3 of them die, buying time for the scientists to reach the extraction point. The shuttle was waiting, engines already hot. They piled inside. 60 humans crammed into a space meant for 40. As the pilot pulled away from Arcturus Station, Marcus looked back at the burning structure. Half the station was simply gone. The shipyards were twisted wreckage. And as he watched, the Dominion fleet, or what was left of it, retreated, abandoning the facility entirely. They'd done it. Against impossible odds, they'd struck a core world and won. Beside him, Rachel collapsed into his arms, sobbing with relief and exhaustion. "You came for us. I didn't think anyone would come. We're humanity," Marcus said quietly. "We don't leave people behind. Not anymore." On the reckoning, Chen watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Arcturus Station was dead. 10,000 prisoners were free. The Dominion's weapons research had been set back years. And more importantly, the galaxy now knew that humans could strike anywhere, anytime. "Casualties?" she asked. 43 dead, 70 wounded, Park reported. "Considering the odds, that's miraculous." Chen nodded, though each death weighed on her. These were her people, her responsibility. Every name would be added to the memorial wall in the Reckoning's main corridor, alongside the millions who died on New Terra. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer announced. "It's from the Dominion High Council. They want to negotiate." The bridge fell silent. Everyone turned to look at Chen. She smiled without humor. "Put it through." High Chancellor Mothraxis appeared on screen, his crystalline features impossible to read. "Admiral Chen, your actions constitute acts of terrorism against the lawful Dominion government. Cease immediately, and we will discuss terms for your people's continued existence." "Continued existence?" Chen's voice was ice. "You destroyed New Terra. You enslaved my species. You treated us like animals. And now you want to discuss terms? You cannot win this war," Mothraxis said flatly. "We outnumber you 1,000 to 1. Our technology is superior. You may win battles, but eventually you will lose." "Maybe," Chen acknowledged. "But here's what you're not understanding, Chancellor. We're not fighting to win. We're fighting because it's better to die free than live as slaves. Every world you lose, every station we destroy, every soldier we kill, that's a victory. Because it proves humans won't quit, won't kneel, won't accept your empire." She leaned forward, her scarred face filling the screen. "So here's my counteroffer. Withdraw from all human territories. Release every human in your custody. Pay reparations for New Terra and every other atrocity you've committed. Do this and we'll stop burning your worlds." "Unacceptable. Then I guess we keep fighting." Chen shrugged. "But understand this. Every day this war continues, we get stronger. We steal more technology. We recruit more people. We learn more about your weaknesses. How long before other species notice? How long before the whole galaxy realizes the mighty Dominion can be beaten?" Mothraxis said nothing. "You started this war by underestimating us," Chen continued. "Don't make the same mistake twice. Give us freedom or we'll take it by force. Your choice." She cut the transmission. Park whistled low. "Think they'll negotiate?" "No," Chen said. "They're too arrogant. Which means we escalate to Phase 3. "What's Phase 3? Chen pulled up a star map showing the Dominion home system. In the center, glowing like a jewel, was Valtheron Prime, the Empire's capital. "We make them understand what it means to lose something irreplaceable," she said quietly. "The way they made us understand on New Terra." Around the bridge, her crew exchanged glances. They all knew what she was suggesting. Attacking the Dominion capital wasn't just dangerous. It was near suicidal. But as Marcus Webb had said, they were humanity. And humanity didn't quit. The attack on Arcturus Station changed everything. Within days, the news spread across the galaxy. Humans, weak, conquered, supposedly broken humans, had struck a core world and won. The Dominion tried to suppress the information, but it was too late. The truth spread like wildfire through enslaved populations on 100 worlds. If humans could resist, maybe others could too. In a crowded bar on the mining world of Kelrath IV, 3 species met in secret. They represented populations that had lived under Dominion rule for centuries, watching the Empire grow fat on their labor while they starved. The humans have proven it can be done, said Zyla, a Verdanian whose people had been conquered 50 years ago. Her scales glittered nervously in the dim light. But they're insane. Attacking Arcturus? That should have been a massacre. Yet it wasn't, rumbled Korth, a massive Krellian who deserted from the Dominion military. I've seen the tactical reports. The humans use the Empire's own ships as weapons. Brilliant, ruthless, they're fighting like they have nothing to lose. Because they don't, added Lisa, a Tal'Vari scout whose species had been enslaved for 200 years. The Dominion already destroyed their homeworld colony, already killed millions of their people. They're not fighting for victory. They're fighting for revenge. So we join them? Zyla asked. Korth nodded slowly. We contact this Admiral Chen. We offer our forces. Together we might actually have a chance. They didn't know it, but across the galaxy similar conversations were happening. The rebellion wasn't just human anymore. It was becoming something larger, something the Dominion had feared for millennia. A coalition of the conquered, united in their hatred of the Empire. Marcus Webb barely had time to recover from Arcturus before Chen called him to her office. He found her studying holographic star charts, her scarred face illuminated by the blue light. You disobeyed orders on Arcturus, she said without preamble. Marcus's stomach dropped. Ma'am, You went after your cousin instead of following the extraction plan. Chen turned to face him. You put your entire team at risk for emotional reasons. Yes, ma'am. There was no point denying it. You also saved 10,000 lives. Chen's expression softened slightly. Those scientists you rescued? They've already provided intelligence about Dominion weapons development. That's invaluable. So while I should court-martial you for insubordination, I'm instead promoting you to lieutenant. Congratulations. Marcus blinked. What? You're a natural leader, Webb. Your team would follow you into hell, which is convenient because that's exactly where I'm sending you. She pulled up a new star chart. Have you heard of the Omega facility? No, ma'am. Not surprising. It's classified above most clearance levels. The Omega facility is where the Dominion conducts its most secret research. New weapons, biological experiments, and according to recent intel, human test subjects. Marcus felt cold. How many? 300. All children. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Children? The Dominion has been studying human cognitive development, trying to determine if humans can be modified, made more compliant, more obedient. Chen's voice was flat, emotionless, but Marcus could see the rage burning in her eyes. They've been experimenting on children for 5 years. Where is this facility? That's the problem. We don't know exactly. It's hidden somewhere in the Void Sector, a region so remote and dangerous that even the Dominion barely patrols it. The scientists you rescued from Arcturus remember hearing about it, but none of them had clearance to know the location. So how do we find it? Chen smiled grimly. We ask someone who does know. And that's where you come in, Lieutenant. I'm sending you to recruit someone very dangerous, very unstable, and absolutely essential to this mission. She pulled up a file. The image showed a man with wild eyes and a manic grin, his face covered in ritual scarring. Meet Dr. Evren Salas, former lead researcher at Omega Facility. He defected 6 months ago, but the Dominion caught him before we could extract him. Last we heard, he was being held in a maximum security prison on Tartarus Station. You want me to break a scientist out of a maximum security prison. I want you to break a war criminal out of a maximum security prison, Chen corrected. Salas isn't a good person, Webb. The experiments he conducted at Omega were monstrous. But he's also the only person who can navigate to the facility and knows its security protocols. Why did he defect? That's the interesting part. According to his initial contact, he defected because even he thought the experiments had gone too far. Whatever the Dominion is doing there, it's bad enough that a man with no conscience couldn't stomach it. Marcus studied the file, feeling sick. And you trust him? I trust that he wants revenge on his former employers. That's enough. Chen closed the file. You leave in 6 hours. Your team will be Keisha, Tanaka, and 3 new recruits I'm assigning. This is a stealth mission. Get in, grab Salas, get out. No heroics. Yes, ma'am. As Marcus turned to leave, Chen called out, Lieutenant, those children at Omega Facility. They've been experiment subjects for 5 years. That means the oldest ones are probably teenagers now. The youngest might be 8 or 9. When you rescue Salas, remember what we're trying to save. Remember what we're fighting for. Marcus nodded, not trusting himself to speak. Tartarus Station orbited a dead world in the ass end of nowhere. It was where the Dominion sent prisoners too dangerous to execute, but too valuable to kill. Political dissidents, rogue scientists, failed military experiments. Getting inside was impossible. Fortunately, Lieutenant Marcus Webb specialized in impossible. "Explain to me again why this is a good idea," Tanaka whispered as they drifted through space in stolen Dominion maintenance suits. "It's not," Marcus admitted, "but it's the only idea we have." They were riding piggyback on a supply freighter, magnetically clamped to its hull while it underwent standard security checks. In about 30 seconds, the freighter,